गोवर्धन की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, नवद्वीप धाम की जय, गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, समवेता भक्त वृंद की जय, गौर प्रेमानंदे. All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare
All glory to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Hari Hari Bol.
Hare.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shami Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Jaya
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya
Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jai
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta
We are reading from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 20, text number 392. The Lord instructs Sanatan Goswami. So these instructions to Sanatan Goswami are going much more longer than that to Rupa Goswami. Text 392.
षोडशात् বছর কৃষ্ণের প্রকট প্রকাশ তাহা জয়ছে ব্রজপুরে করিলা বিলাস
Saoshat. Saoshat means what?
7.25. Is that
Okay.
right? That's it.
Krishna remains within the, what's that?
No. It should be 125. So that's
Yes.
125.
Okay, yeah. Krishna remains within a universe for 125 years, and he enjoys his pastimes both in Vrindavan and Dwaraka.
অলাদ চক্র প্রায় সেই লীলা চক্র ফিরে সব লীলা সব ব্রহ্মাণ্ডে ক্রমে উদয় করে
The cycle of his pastimes turns like a wheel of fire. Thus, Krishna exhibits his pastimes one after the other in every universe.
জন্ম বাল্য পৌগণ্ড কৈশোর প্রকাশ পুতনা বধ আদি করি মৌসলান্ত বিলাস
Krishna's pastimes, appearance, childhood, boyhood, and youth are all manifest, beginning with the killing of Putana and extending to the end of Mosha Lila, the annihilation of the Jadu dynasty. All of these pastimes are rotating in every universe.
কোন ব্রহ্মাণ্ডে কোন লীলার হয় অবস্থান তাতে লীলা নিত্য কহে আগম পুরাণ
Since all Krishna's pastimes are taking place continuously, at every moment, some pastime is existing in one universe or another. Consequently, these pastimes are called eternal by the Vedas and Puranas.
Golok, Gokul Dham, Bibhu Krishna Sham, Krishnechai Brahmando Gone Tahar Shankram.
The spiritual abode, known as Goloka, which is a pasturing land for Surabhi cows, is as powerful and opulent as Krishna. By the will of Krishna, the original Goloka and Gokul Dhams are manifest with him in all the universes.
Otoebo Golok Sthane Nitto Bihar, Brahmando Gone Krome Prakotto Tahar.
The eternal pastimes of Krishna are continuously taking place in the original Goloka Vrindavan planet. These same pastimes are gradually manifest within the material world in each and every Brahmanda. Purport: Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur elucidates this complicated explanation of Krishna's pastimes. Krishna's pastimes are always present in the material world in one of the many universes. These pastimes appear in the universes one after the other, just as the sun moves across the sky and measures the time. Krishna's appearance may be manifest in this universe at one moment, and immediately after his birth, this pastime is manifest in the next universe. After his killing of Putana is manifest in this universe, it is next manifest in another universe. Thus, all the pastimes of Krishna are eternally existing both in the original Goloka Vrindavan planet and in the material universes. The 125 years calculated in our solar system to be Krishna's lifetime equal 1 moment for Krishna. 1 moment, these pastimes are manifest in one universe, and the next moment, they are manifest in the next universe. There are unlimited universes, and Krishna's pastimes are manifest 1 moment after the other in all of them. This rotation is explained through the example of the suns moving across the sky. Krishna appears and disappears in innumerable universes, just as the sun appears and disappears during the day. Although the sun appears to rise and set, it is continuously shining somewhere on the earth. Although Krishna's pastimes seem to appear and disappear, they are continuously existing in one Brahmanda universe or another. Thus, all of Krishna's Leelas are present simultaneously throughout the innumerable universes. By our limited senses, we cannot appreciate this. Therefore, Krishna's eternal pastimes are very difficult for us to understand. One should try to understand how they are taking place by understanding the allegory of the sun. Although the Lord is appearing constantly in the material universes, his pastimes are eternally present in the original Goloka Vrindavan. Therefore, these pastimes are called Nitya Leela, eternally present pastimes. Because we cannot see what is going on in other universes, it is a little difficult for us to understand how Krishna is eternally manifesting his pastimes. There are 14 Manus in one day of Brahma, And this time calculation is also taking place in other universes. Krishna's pastimes are manifest before 14 manus expire. Although it's a little difficult to understand the eternal pastimes of Krishna in this way, we must accept the version of the Vedic literature. There are two types of devotees: the sadhaka, who is preparing for perfection, and the siddha, who is already perfect. As far as those who are already perfect are concerned, Bhagavad Gita says, Chaktva deham punarjanma naiti mam iti sojana. After giving up this body, such a devotee comes to me. After leaving the material body, the perfect devotee takes birth in the womb of a gopi on a planet where Krishna's pastimes are going on. This may be in this universe or another universe. This statement is found in the Ujjvala Nilamani, which is commented upon by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. When a devotee becomes perfect, he is transferred to the universe where Krishna's pastimes are taking place. Krishna's eternal associates go wherever Krishna manifests his pastimes. As stated before, first the father and mother of Krishna appear, then the other associates. Quitting his material body, the perfect devotee also goes to associate with Krishna and his other associates. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militang Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So there's a lot of different information here to think about or to meditate upon. We read that Lord Krishna's activities in this universe take place for how many years?
125.
Yeah, 125 years. So they're broken down in different. So Krishna's activities were there in Vrindavan, first in Gokul, then Nandagram, then to Mathura, then to Dwarka. So his activities in Vrindavan were taking place up till his 12th, 13th, sometimes it said 16th, but in that early teens at the latest. Then he stayed in Mathura for about 15 years, up till his marriage with Rukmini Devi, about that time. And then he transferred all of his associates to Dwarka, and he stayed there for the rest of the time, although of course he traveled various places. How old was he during the Battle of Kurukshetra?
16.
During the Battle of Kurukshetra?
Yeah.
He was 90 years old.
In one lecture, Srila Prabhupada says he was 85 years old. So Arjuna was 85 years old. So then after the Battle of Kurukshetra, there was another 40 years when the Pandavas were there in Hastinapur as the rulers of the earth, Yudhishthira Maharaj. So that's the general. I mean, there might be some small differences in that, but that's the general idea. But then Krishna goes then from this, he's always going from one universe to the next universe, and this is something very amazing and wonderful about God. He is going in so many places at once, simultaneously. We can't do that. Sometimes it's said a yogi can be in 8 different places at one time by mystic power. There was one famous Christian saint by the name of Padre Pio. Have you ever heard that, Padre Pio? Anyway, he was a Catholic saint in the early part of early and middle part of the 20th century. So sometimes he would appear to help people in various parts of Italy. So sometimes some people who are advanced can do that, but usually for a yogi or person with mystic power, they have to be doing the same thing in one place that they're doing in the other place. But here we find that all of Krishna's pastimes are taking place not only in this universe, but all the other universes one after another. That's very amazing. So this is God. This is God. And it's hard to wrap our mind around that too. So then later here, Srila Prabhupada is saying that when a devotee becomes perfect, they take birth from the womb of a gopi, whatever universe Krishna is manifesting his pastimes to assist the Lord and get trained up in devotional service. So this is also very interesting. Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, you know the verse, Anta kale chamameva maran muktva kalevaram. What's you know the last part of it?
Prayati samadbhavam.
Yatpyati samadbhavam.
Yati
Yati natri atasangsaya. If at the end of life one quits his body, remembering me, the person will come to my nature. So that's being the end of this. There is natra sangshaya. There's no doubt. Krishna is telling Arjuna there in the battle of Kurukshetra. So this is giving a little bit further detail about what that nature, how that happens. And then the next verse in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Yam yam vapi smaram bhavan chajantyante kalevaram. What's that?
Yam yam vapi
Smaram bhavam chajantyante kalevaram. Avanti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavita. Yeah. So whatever we think about or consciousness is absorbed in at the time of death, to that place, to that nature, we attain without fail. So this is particularly true in the human form of life. This is for humans because we have free will to a certain extent to think about and change our consciousness. Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, Dukkha, Doshanu, Darshanam. He says, this is in his description of what a wise person, the qualities of a wise person. So one of the qualities of the wise person, in addition to being amanitvam adambitvam, means humble, not looking for praise, is they're always conscious of the difficulties in this world, namely janma, birth, mrityu, death, jara, old age, vyadi, disease. Because this abode, this planet Earth is not a place where we can become comfortable. Even we try very hard to become comfortable for some time, it won't last. Because we will get diseased, we will die, and we will get old. So an intelligent person is always remembering that this is not our comfortable place, our eternal place, but our actual place is beyond this world. It's in the Supreme Lord's abode, with the Supreme Lord. By going there, by joining Lord Krishna in his pastimes and in his abode, one can free oneself from all kinds of misery. Because that place is eternal, has no death, no old age, or no disease. Unfortunately, in the material world, we become complacent, thinking that we'll be able to live here forever and death will never come. And sometimes we're shaken up briefly, momentarily, that, oh, death could be just around the corner. But usually we quickly forget as we go about our daily activities. Therefore, Yudhishthira Maharaj said, Ahani ahani bhutani gachchanti iha yamalayam. He said, the most wonderful thing is that every day bhutani, living entities, are being dispatched to the abode of Yamaraj, the abode of death. But still, those remaining think they'll never die. This applies to us. We think we'll live forever, therefore we have plenty of time, and we might be Krishna conscious, but we can put that off till tomorrow or the next day. But a person who's actually conscious of the real situation knows that the becoming spiritually developed, reviving our Krishna consciousness is a foremost importance in their lives. Ahani ahani bhutani gachchanti iha yamalayam. So then Lord Krishna explains that if you urdvam gachanti satvasta madhyam tishtanti rajasa ado gachanti tamasa jaganya gunabhitishta ado gachanti tamasa. Usually in the world people think, well, if there is life after death, which is certainly a question, if there is life after death, you might go to heaven or hell, isn't it? That's the Western conception. But in the Vedic conception, there are so many different opportunities, a great variety. They're summarized in this one. If you're in the mode of goodness, you can go up to the heavenly planets. But there are many different heavenly planets, and in each of them, there's a different kind of enjoyment that you can experience, along with perhaps developing your spiritual life. One might remain after the death of this body. One might remain on this plane in this earth in a human or other species, or one might go down to the lower species or to the hellish planets. Those planets are described in detail in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and there's a bunch of them. Kumbhipaka, Raurava, Maharourava, and each of them there's some different kinds of torture that the soul encased in the material body experiences. So there's lots of different options, and even that's within the material sphere, and even within the spiritual sphere, apparently there are many options. Here, a devotee becoming perfect by practice of devotional service and regularly chanting the holy names of the Lord, if they're a devotee of Krishna, they'll go to the place where Krishna's pastimes are taking place, that universe. How they get there, now that's a long distance travel, right? Here we are in this universe. How big is this universe? According to the Vedas, it's like 4 billion miles. So you're traveling a long distance, but mental travel is fast. You can think, oh, I'm going to go to the office, and you're there in a second. Or you can think you can visit your relatives across the country or in India, and you're there in a second. So be faster than the mental travel is ethereal travel, but faster even than that is the travel arranged on the spiritual plane. So one can go to one of those planets where Krishna is taking his pastimes are going on, or one might be a devotee of Narayan, Vishnu, and one might go directly to the Vaikuntha planet, not necessarily going to visit where Krishna is to be trained up in his devotional service. For example, there's a description in the Nectar of Devotion from the Brahma Vaivarta Purana of a poor Brahmin who was too poor to really do much, make offerings regularly to Krishna, to his Krishna deity. So he was listening to some discussion by in Srimad Bhagavatam class, and he heard that by just meditating on performing devotional activities, one could get the same benefit. So he took that very seriously, and every day, as part of his sadhan routine, he would meditate on worship, fixing the deity of Krishna in his mind, and then performing all kinds of services for the deity, like bringing water in golden pots from a sacred river to bathe the deity, offering scents, aguru, and other wonderful scents, taking flowers with scented flowers and making garlands and decorating the deity, putting the garland around the deity's neck, getting fine clothes, fine cloth, making them and dressing the deities with fine cloth and jewels, valuable. He had nothing. He had nothing, but he was doing this all in his mind and his meditation. And he would always also cook various nice, various sumptuous items for the pleasure of the Lord, including kheer, or you say paramanna or
Parvanna.
yeah, like that. So payasam, like that. So he was meditating, and then he would, before he offered it, because he was doing it very seriously. He wasn't just making a show, but he was doing it very seriously. He thought, well, let me check the temperature of the sweet rice, and he touched the side of the pot, and his finger got burned. His finger got burned. So in Vaikuntha, there was Lakshmi and Narayan were there, and Narayan started to chuckle, and Lakshmi said, "What's this chuckling about?" And so Lord Narayan said, "Well, one of my devotees has just I've played a joke on him." So then he sent a Vaikuntha airplane to come and pick up the Brahmin and bring him back directly to Vaikuntha. So apparently, this bit about going to Krishna's pastimes may not always take place with the devotees of Narayan, but with Krishna's devotees, this is a special arrangement where they go to the place where Lord Krishna is performing his pastimes to get trained up further in his service. Questions or comments?
Question.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So all these life after death and all, there is no proof actually, right? I mean, this is all like literature that was written by all these sages and holy men back then. So, and then we have inherited that and we are following, and there's technically no proof, like, these life after death. It's still
I hear what you're saying. One question at a time is good. So what you're saying, what is the proof of this actually being true? Well, this is discussed quite in depth in the Vedas. So, what we mean by proof really is a mounting evidence in support of a particular idea. For example, during the Middle Ages, people used to think that scorpions used to be born from rotting rice. And they made an experiment where they put old rice under a plate covering, and they waited some time, and eventually scorpions came out. So they proved it. Well, but they didn't take everything into account because they didn't realize that there were some scorpion eggs already there. Yeah. So proof means being able to give evidence to support a particular idea that takes precedence over other ideas. The difficulty with proof on the material plane is There's always some doubt because proof on the material plane is disturbed by 4 kinds of defects. One defect is our senses are imperfect. We cannot see really what's going on, even if we extend our senses to a microscope or a telescope. Still, there's difficulties that take place from our perception. The idea of quantum mechanics is, or quantum physics is, that our observations, even these tiny observations that we can take, even very small or very big, they're always distorted by the attitude of the observer. So one thing is our senses are imperfect. Next thing is we make mistakes, even though we're very we might be very aware of our imperfect senses. Still, there are mistakes that we make all the time. Next thing is we're tend to be an illusion about who we are, where we are, and then finally, we, even though we have these difficult these problems that crop up all the time, we try to express that, say that we know everything. We know that's actually it's going on. That's called cheating. So because every single one of us has these 4 defects, the Vedas say that the kind of proof we can use by empiric reasoning is not reliable. If we want perfect, reliable information, it can't come from someone who has these 4 defects. It has to come from a perfect source. Where will that perfect source be? Where is that perfect source? Well, by definition, by the perfect source is the perfect person, Krishna. So these sages received the knowledge from Krishna. So that's why Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Evam parampara praptam imam rajashyo vidu. This knowledge of the identity of the soul, the process of developing spiritual consciousness, the process of going back home, back to Godhead, this is delineated or passed down in disciplic succession, starting from the original perfect person, Krishna, handed down step by step, as you say, through the sages without any change. That's why in Bhagavad Gita, it's described, Prabhupada called it the Bhagavad Gita as it is, means no change from when Krishna spoke it through his disciples, Brahma, Narad, Vyas. So so we accept Veda as the prime proof, evidence. Is there evidence of life after death? Surely there's evidence of it. Lots of evidence of it if you look. Just from reasonable person. If you go to somebody a funeral, they'll say, well, he's gone, or she's gone. Well, if the person's their body, the body's right there. What's gone, just by natural understanding, reasonable, is the soul is gone. Many times there's quite a different big literature about people who have had near-death experiences, and you can read about it. There's also evidence from people who have spontaneous memories of previous lives that's unexplainable. Not only memories, but birth defects that correspond with injuries that were experienced in the previous life. So this is evidence. So evidence, this is from the empirical side, but that it supports the evidence given in Bhagavad Gita on this idea of there being the soul's existence, and the relationship of the soul to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That was a long answer, but I thought it was an important point.
Okay. But okay, so I'm trying to get it. I'm trying to understand this. I see your answer. I see your reply. what I'm saying is like quantum mechanics, quantum physics, and all these like, proven concepts or all these effects,
Well,
like,
they're not proven concepts. They're all theories.
no,
They're theories that somebody puts forward, and then and we put forward a theory, and then they muster other ideas that seem to support that theory. So really, what have you seen the atom? How many atoms have you seen? How many, that we don't see, but we say that, well, there's certain things that take place that we have this idea that this is the way it is. And so these seem to fit nicely with that idea. We're not saying, and we're not differing with quantum mechanics, but in quantum mechanics also, there's the idea of parallel universes. I don't know if you've known, there's a good description of this in a magazine that was published by ISKCON called Origin Magazine, and it describes the second chapter there in that magazine talks about understanding the parallel universes. One of those parallel universes is Vaikuntha. So we have our universe, this material universe, but parallel, that's part of quantum mechanics. And Srila Prabhupada also wrote a book called Easy Journey to Other Planets, where he talks about somebody who received a Nobel Prize in physics for postulating about an anti-material universe. This was back in 1959. So the scientists at that time were thinking, wow, this is really wonderful. There's so much evidence to support the idea there's an anti-material universe. So definitely there is evidence. Somebody will accept the evidence as proof if they want to. More and more evidence piles up, we accept it as proof. That's what we mean by proof. Evidence, the more you get, the more you become sure that's correct. So in Krishna consciousness, there's not only evidence, but there's a way to verify that evidence. And that way to verify the evidence is the practice of bhakti yoga. Krishna says that in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Pratyakshavagaman dharmyam. Okay, we can just go back and forth and talk back and forth about this evidence, that evidence, but you can actually realize this truth through the practice of Krishna consciousness. Pratyakshavagaman dharmyam means it's religion that is particularly perceived by realization. So anyway, that we can always argue back and forth about it, but if
no, I'm not arguing. And what I'm saying is all these theories that are mentioned in the sacred books, they're all based upon a faith. I mean, you believe it, and therefore you assume that this is what happened.
I mean, yes, a certain amount of faith is required. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
certain amount of faith.
We place our faith when we go to college. We place our faith in the professor that they're not going to cheat us. Yes, some faith is required.
No,
we place our faith that we put a stamp on our letter to send our bill in, that the post office is going to deliver it. Yes. So a certain amount of faith is required. Yes.
So the reason why people go to universities is to earn their bread and butter. Eventually they want to make a living so they can use that university degree. But the faith is more like a way of life. Like, it's like how you want to lead the life, because education does not dictate the way of life. It only tells you how to get your food on the table.
It depends on what kind. It depends on what kind of education you're talking about. I mean, the
STEM-based education,
the raccoons and the squirrels, they don't have to go to the university to get food on their table. There's plenty of food available for them, and there's also food available for the human beings. So the Vedas say that real education isn't just meant to get food on the table, but real education is meant to help you understand the difference between a living body and a dead body. That's why Krishna says in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Raja Vidya. Raja Vidya means this is the king of education. The king of education, which is not taught in the university, is to understand the difference between the living body and the dead body, because we are the living person. And that education isn't given anywhere. And that's why Krishna is giving it there in the Bhagavad Gita for Arjuna, but for all of us to really concentrate and meditate upon. So there are many things that we accept on the basis of authority. we don't know, by experiment, we don't know who our father is. We accept on the basis of what our mother says. There's so many different parts of history that we accept not because anybody's actually gone there, but somebody writes information about it and we accept it. Yeah, so there's so many times, so many parts of authority that we accept regularly in our lives. And so devotees, they not without question, of course, questioning is good, but they, by checking and reading and trying to understand the Vedic literatures, they come to appreciate the authority of the Bhagavad Gita and the spiritual master as reliable authority.
The last line of the first paragraph, although it is a little difficult to understand the eternal pastimes of Krishna in this way, we must accept the verdict of the Vedic literatures. Probably at this time in our understanding, we have to study and read a lot more.
No. I do understand. See, accepting the Vedas itself in the first place is a faith-based system. That's what I'm telling it. It's based upon the faith, your personal faith, faith is nothing but a way of life. This is
and I think from the very beginning, faith is required, and ask us to have.
Yeah, the faith allows us to believe in these Vedas and the sacred books and whatever the sacred people have said in the past. I mean, many eons or eras or whatever ago. But what I'm saying is this and what, let's say, the popular science, like, quantum mechanics or quantum physics or whatever nomenclature or whatever, the elements and the chemicals, atoms, ions, and electronics and electrons, all these things. This is popular science, but this popular science, it's a totally different realm versus the faith-based system, which is this.
No, it's not real. One has to have faith in those scientists who are saying they did certain things. For example, I'll give you a very simple example. Experiments, so he was telling us, there was a guy, they publish all these psychological experiments and conclusions in journals, professional journals that's supposed to show this and show that.
Peer reviewed and
yes, peer reviewed journals. Sorry. So he was saying, he was telling the story that there was a guy who wanted to get funding from the American Psychological Association to try to replicate the experiments that were being published in these journals to see if they were really reliable or they were somehow fudged. So the American Psychological Association was completely against that idea, completely against it. So he tried for like 5 years to try to get funding. He gave up. Then it just so happened that he inherited a large amount of money. So he decided with that money he was going to use it to set up his own laboratory without the funding of the American Psychological Association and investigate and perform the experiments or try to replicate the experiments that were there published in those professional journals to see if he could replicate them. So he did that for several years and he wrote a book about it. And in that book, he gave very much details, but he said a conservative estimate is that at least half of the information given published in those peer-reviewed journals is fake. So this is very interesting. I mean, I'm not trying to pick on psychology, but so
you cannot,
the point is that in order to accept something, you have to have faith in your authority. That's the point. Yes, and I agree. I'm making the point so who do you place your faith in? Yes. So we can place our faith in Krishna, in a bona fide spiritual master, or we can place our faith in various scientific methods and people. They're not always in conflict, no, but there's another book that was very nicely compiled. It's called Forbidden Archaeology. The Forbidden Archaeology. It's a gigantic book, but it goes into infinite detail about how information that contradicts the accepted Darwinian idea of evolution, and there's lots of it, has been sidelined because it doesn't fit in with the prevailing ideas. You can go through it. It's very, and this happens not only in archaeology, but in every field of science. So we'd like to, so Krishna says this is the supreme education, so we go by that. We'll take our faith in Krishna. Okay, it's getting late here now, folks. Sorry. I think that's it for today.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vishnu Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
One small clarification, Prabhuji. Text number 396. There is two words written like Goloka and Gokula. So I understand that is the Goloka and Gokula both are the somehow same or same, where Krishna, that is the Krishna abode. I just wanted to have the clarification. Are they both same? Both are written same form. Goloka is where, that is the Krishna abode. Gokula is the dham which again used for the Goloka itself, or vice versa, or having difference, any difference?
My understanding is usually when we speak of Goloka, that's referring to the Krishna's abode in the spiritual world. Gokul Dham is often used, not exclusively, but often used as referring to when Goloka comes down to this planet or this realm. Now, also Gokula in Vrindavan, there's a section of the area of Vrindavan that's also called Gokul also. So there's different, slightly different meanings of that, but that's my understanding.
So it's the name of an actual place in India, Gokula?
Yes, yes.
And that's
Krishna's, when Lord Krishna was first appeared, he appeared in Mathura. Then Vasudev took Krishna across the Jamuna to Gokul. And Nanda Maharaj and the cowherd men and Mother Yashoda were first living in Gokul, and that at a certain point there were so many demons that were coming, and they thought, well, let's get a better place. Let's get out. Let's find a better, more defendable place. So they went from Gokul to Nandagram. So Gokul is closer to the Yamuna, and Nandagram is a little bit away on a hill. That's where some of the the later early pastimes of Krishna were in Nandagram. That's where Nanda's house, slightly away from the Vrindavan area. So Gokul was right there. But anyway, the different things.
one is actually existing, one is in the spiritual world.
Yeah, Goloka, Goloka is meant to be, we referring to the spiritual sky, Goloka. Krishna's abode there.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thanks.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Pancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sinnebhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namaha. I do urge people to read the book Forbidden Archaeology. There's another book called The Forbidden Archaeologist, which are just, it's a much easier read, which describes the presentations given by this devotee who does this work in different parts of the world and the reception you get. And it's really clear how ideas that aren't in sync with the prevailing zeitgeist in archaeology are usually just ignored, even though they're equally supported by empirical evidence. So forbidden archaeology, forbidden archaeologist, and Srila Prabhupada wanted us to understand these things as a corollary to accepting Bhagavad Gita, not to accept things blindly, but a little blindly if we have faith in Krishna, but it's also supported with other parts of evidence too.
Where I'm having a hard time is Hare Krishna. I'll talk to you later. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
I just want to mention real quick that tomorrow, His Grace Ballabhadra Prabhu is scheduled to give the Srimad Bhagavatam class for Thursday morning.
Oh, also, this Thursday evening, we'll be watching the Hare Krishna People film, the original documentary on Hare Krishna, made in 1974.
Great.
Instead of the Chaitanya Charitamrita class?
No, instead of the 5 years, 11 months, and a lifetime of unexpected love class. Thursday evening. Yeah. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhus. I just wanted to give a little update about my mother.
Please. Thank you.
She is still in the hospital, but she is recovering really well. She may get discharged today or tomorrow. Just wanted everybody to pray to Krishna if he so desires to get her all better and get her out.
What was the malady?
They said she had very severe salmonella poisoning.
Wow.
Very, very severe. It almost got into her blood, I think. And she was in really bad shape for a few days. You know, my mother, she doesn't do anything in simple ways. Everything is very grand with her. So this is how she's making her way back to California. So she's actually in Vail, Colorado. That's where they are right now. They may just stay there for another week before they get home.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's all of your prayers. She's praying, she's chanting, and she's doing her best. But you know how much she depends on all of you and your blessings. So thank you very much.
Definitely keep praying and prayer. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Okay, Prabhus, have a wonderful Krishna conscious day, and we'll see you back here again tomorrow.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Hare Prabhu.